What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Clint from the Die Hard MMA podcast. This is brought to you by Pub Sports Radio. Lines brought to you by Superbook Sports. And it's time for UFC 276. I cannot wait for this one. This card is awesome. It's going to be epic. And we have got one last look at these fighters. Regular weigh-ins, ceremonial weigh-ins. They got some time to fill back up after sucking themselves out to make weight here, which is always nice. We get to see what they really look like a couple hours after the fact. We're going to look real closely at anything that we can find, try and find you one extra additional little angle so you can make some money and put that extra cash in your pocket at tomorrow's fights. First fight of the night, Jessica Rose Clark taking on Julia Stoliarenko. We have got Clark 135.5. Stoliarenko came in at 136. Now, she's had a lot of trouble on the scales before. We've seen her pass out. We've seen her look awful. This is absolutely the best Julia Stoliarenko we have ever seen on the scales. She came in smiling. She looked relaxed. She walked up, stepped on the scale, walked off, perfectly healthy, no box of shame. It was fantastic as a Julia Stoliarenko sports better. It was amazing to see her look that good. Now, Jessica Rose Clark, no issues for her. She used to fight at 125, jogged up to the scale. She looked good up there. This was a great face-off. Good, intense. They kept their distance, relatively respectful, but Julia has a nice, decent size advantage. I'm already on the dog here. I'm on Stoliarenko. I got plus 140. I've waited for that line to peak, and then we hit it. It's coming back down. There's plus 135 sitting out there. I just don't get it. I bet on Jessica Rose Clark a couple fights ago where she had a significant grappling advantage. This is not a spot that I feel that good about for her. I mean, she's taking on a younger opponent, somebody who should be getting better and improving, somebody who had good numbers and good results against much higher caliber fighters. Jessica Rose Clark seeing a sports psychologist because she couldn't follow the game plan that her team set for her that she trained 6 weeks for the last time out. It's just all bad signs. It seems like a changing of the guard. It seems like a spot where Stoliarenko can finally get that dub. And I don't think Jessica Rose Clark has much left in the tank besides what we've seen already. She's a primary grappler now. She doesn't have much in the way of striking. She's tough. She likes to hang in there, but she gets arm barred. And if she can't take you down and grind on you, wet blanket you for 15 minutes, she doesn't have much other option. So I like the dog here. I think Stoliarenko by sub makes some sense. If she goes to the grappling, honestly, she might be content to just be the bigger striker. If they're trading on the feet, Jessica Rose Clark is not going to hurt Julia, whereas Julia's bigger punches probably will cause some damage. And I think with what we're seeing from the judges, control time is not being granted, whereas damage and aggression are. I think Julia can edge out a decision here. So I played the money line rather than going inside the distance. Again, I don't mind that sub prop. I am degenerately looking at that 12-1 TKO prop. I don't know if I'm quite that degenerate to go for it. I could see Julia finishing here in this spot, but regardless, I think she has all paths to victory. I like that underdog poke here, fading Jessica Rose Clark. Julia opened up minus 200. That's something else that needs to be said. The bookies thought she was supposed to be a big favorite here. Maybe not that big of a favorite, but a favorite nonetheless. I'll take the dog that should be the favorite. Macy Barber taking on Jessica Eye. Both women made 126. Macy Barber threw up the deuces, sticking her tongue out, having a good time. She looked fine on the scales today. Jessica Eye relaxed and happy, something we haven't seen for a long time. Big smile and flex from her. She looked great. There's a decent size advantage for Jessica Eye here. This is one where I really expected these two to be a little bit closer. Jessica Eye's got like a half head on Macy Barber when it comes to the height, which is a little bit terrifying if you're on the Macy Barber side of things, because she really just goes like strength for strength, power for power, and if she's going to be trying to bully around somebody like I, who is bigger and has had no problem with some of the more powerful physical women in the division that are much more skilled at this stage of their careers, what do you expect in Barber to do? Another spot where I kind of feel like this is a dog or pass spot. Money just keeps on flooding in here on Macy Barber. Minus 300 is what she's up to. Man, I'm probably going to play the split decision prop here. That's something I've looked at before. We have almost gotten a couple of these, and I say almost because fights that probably should have been splits ended up being unanimous. I think I'm going to go right back to the well. I'll probably play the split decision so I don't have to pick a side, and then I might even play Jessica Eye by split decision because that number is going to be stupid. Kind of lean dog or pass in this spot. Bounced back and forth a little bit. Came in a little too heavy on Macy Barber, realizing I can't really trust this girl to turn the corner, right? I talked about it on Monday that if she turns the corner, she could be a problem, but we didn't have any signs that she's actually doing that. So Healthy Jessica I, fixed medical conditions Jessica I, make it dirty, make it greasy, give me a split decision. Uriah Hall taking on Andre Muniz. Hall came in at 186, Muniz 185.5. Uriah Hall looked great on the scales this morning. Solid smile, good flex, same as always. Muniz had an angry glare up there today. He was intense. Dude is all chest and shoulders. His upper body is ridiculous. Looked fantastic. When they faced off, this was a big surprise to me. Muniz is a decent bit bigger than Uriah Hall. I mean, this guy is huge. I said it last fight too. I keep forgetting just how big Andre Muniz is. Like, in my brain, for some reason, I mean, he's not like a Deron Winn, but he's like a shorter, stockier grappler type. No, like, this is a big man. So I kind of have been bouncing back and forth on this one all week. I can't trust Muniz after the first 2 rounds. His gas tank, his chin, he's been questionable before. Uriah Hall doesn't throw, so maybe a round 3 sprinkle, because he'll have to come from behind and catch a guy who's slowing down. It's on the table. It's possible. Uriah Hall invented the round 3 TKO. So, like, I kind of think it's Muniz early, Hall late, or Muniz, if he's fixed those gas tank issues, can go the ACJ route, lock down back control, ride this thing out, get a decision win, something along those lines. I'm going to go ahead and say Muniz, but at minus 340, again, I'm a little bit too afraid to actually bet him here. So I'll side with the favorite, but it's a pass for me. Dricus du Plessis taking on Brad Tavares. Dricus 185. Dricus 185, Tavares 185.5. All smiles from du Plessis on the scales today. He was amped up, healthy looking. Like, this guy is solid muscle, and he looks like he is filled out quite well. Brad Tavares looking good, abs popping, relaxed on the scales. He's been here before. This was an intense face-off. I was not expecting this. I mean, Brad Tavares, like, stepped in on Dricus. He got in tight, and Dricus was not backing down. Showed him his fists, got in close. This is going to be a fun fight. I lean towards Dricus. I know a ton of money has come in. That's kind of the mush bet of the week, that everybody is just piling in on Dricus. And he's bigger than Brad Tavares. Another one where I wasn't really expecting him to have like a half head and then shoulder advantage here. He's going to be the bigger, stronger guy. So I do like Dricus. He's a finisher, though. The fact that he's got a 100% finish rate, I think I would look to take him inside the distance if I was going to take him. I think the knockout makes the most sense. That's where Tavares has been caught. Tavares has, classically dominant takedown defense and a good get-up game. You don't submit this guy. You can catch him on the feet, but you never really take him down and control him. So I do think that it's going to look like Tavares is having the better of the striking exchanges until du Plessis cracks him. He'll hit him with something big, put him down. I don't really want to lay minus 155, but I kind of like violence. I lean towards du Plessis, and good luck to anybody that got in at the good number, because you guys beat the game there. Iangary taking on Gabe Green coming up next. Gary made 171, Green 170 on the dot. Iangary looked good. This kid is big. He's tall. He's got a good frame for the division. Iangary, thick and healthy as well. Another guy that just fills out. Good solid flex from him. Iangary much taller. Green a little bit thicker when they faced off. This is a respectful face-off. I was hoping for a little bit more fireworks, but damn, Gabe Green's head is huge. No wonder he survives all of these punches. No wonder he can bounce back from getting cracked. His head is absolutely massive. This is a spot where all week I've been going, I think there's value on the dog. I think there's value on the dog. And something is just stopping me, folks. This line keeps getting wider and wider and wider. Gabe Green is up to plus 160 now. Iangary is minus 180. I think the big cage plays towards Iangary. If he stays on his bike and just kind of jabs his way and counters his way through this fight, he probably wins a decision. I think Gabe Green is going to do his best to force the action, and I think there can be a finish here on both sides. If Gabe Green makes this a dirty brawl, I would trust that a little bit more in the smaller cage. Since we're in the big pay-per-view cage, I am worried that Gabe Green will be chasing Iangary the entire night and maybe walk into a big counter or something like that. I've decided I'm going to stay off this one. It was a dog or pass spot earlier for me in the week. I've got the heebie-jeebies, and the fact is I'm coming off dodging a bullet without putting my money on Tafon and Chukwi last week, and that feels good, folks. It feels good not to have put my money on a guy that got flatlined in the first round. So I'm kind of feeling a little confident. The hairs in the back of my neck are steering me the right direction here, and they're telling me that I probably should pass here. So even though I feel like there's maybe a little bit of value on Gabe Green, I like this guy. I've gone to war with him 2 times in a row now. I think I'm going to go ahead and pass. Again, you guys know me. I have very limited self-control, so if I hit something in MLB tonight or something like that, I might end up throwing a unit on Gabe Green by tomorrow. But, that's just kind of the look here. I think violence is on the table from both sides. I think Gabe Green could make this interesting. Maybe a live betting spot. Because if you see Iangary start to wilt, Gabe Green has the gas tank and the intensity to take that kind of a fight over. Donald Cerrone taking on Jim Miller. Both guys came in at 170.5. All smiles from Donald Cerrone, which I love to see. Relaxed, not sucked out, weighed in wearing his hat. Like, this guy is comfortable on the scales this morning. Jim Miller looked good on the scales, gave a solid flex, no issues from him. Both guys were all smiles at the face-offs. I mean, they fought together. They're both veterans of the sport, legends of the UFC. This is all respect here, but Jim is thick, let me tell you. Jim Miller at 170 has filled out. The lack of cut did this man some good. I know there's a lot of people out there. Everyone is piling in on Jim Miller. Everyone thinks I'm crazy for betting Donald Cowboy Cerrone. I just think that this is a spot where Cowboy has the advantage up the weight class. He's got the mental advantage taking on somebody who he's defeated before. He is comfortable. He is not stretched thin. We know Cowboy's a bit of a head case, that if his opponents are getting in his head, messing with him, being too intense, the weight cut makes him upset. Like, all those factors, they kind of add up, and he ends up just kind of not wanting to be there. Folks, this is a gigantic pay-per-view. Legacy is on the line. His family is there this time. He didn't have to cut weight. Like, I'm expecting good, healthy mental state Donald Cowboy Cerrone, and that is a scary, scary man, especially considering he's fighting a guy he's already put in the ground once before. So I got plus 175 on Cerrone. He's down to plus 165 at this point. Some money has come in on Donald, and this is the spot where, it just was all steam Jim Miller early, and all I hear is Miller, 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 Miller. But that line is coming down. So, like, all the gamblers in the world think that Miller is just going to smoke Donald. But this line is dropping. That's some reverse line movement right there. I like feeling like I'm on the right side of that. Hopefully Cowboy gets it done. I've kind of planted my flag this week. It's a bigger bet for me. I just think this should be a pick'em fight, and I think Cowboy's got all the value. Now, don't get me wrong. If it's a pick'em fight and one of these guys wins in round one, they're going to look like they were minus 500. The fact is, line-wise, this should be even. So, yeah, Jim Miller might smoke out Donald Cerrone early, but if Donald survives round one, he's probably going to take over 2 and 3, and this looks a lot like a landslide for Cerrone instead. So just know that going in. I think we've got the value side. We've got Brad Riddell taking on Jalin Turner. Both guys made 155.5. Let me tell you, Brad looked rough on the scales today, folks. Half dead eyes, blank face, really heavy looking up there, gingerly stepping on and off the scales this morning. It looked like he had a bit of a rough cut. Jalin Turner, on the other hand, huge smile, spread his gigantic wingspan arms wide. He flexed and bowed. He ran off the stage like he was feeling good. I have no clue how this man makes 155 pounds. Like, he should be fighting up at 185. I don't have any idea how he sucks himself down to 155 to weigh in on weigh-in day. This was a good stare down. I mean, both guys were kind of looking blank at each other. That's kind of Riddell's way. He doesn't really get, rocked by much. Turner obviously taller and longer. I'm big invested on this one, guys. Bigly invested. Jalin Turner, I got minus 135 earlier in the week. He's down to minus 150. So everybody's agreeing with me. This line is moving my way. I like it. I've got the fight doesn't go the distance at minus 175. That's my 7-unit bet. I've got a 100% hit rate when I risk 7 units on a play, guys. I've only done it 3 times before. That's my max bet. I never bet that big. I did this on doesn't go the distance. Under 2.5 is all the way down to minus 170 now. So the people are agreeing with me. The smart money, the big money is also agreeing with me. This number continues to drop. You can get the under 2.5 at where I got the extra 2.5 minutes for the fight doesn't go the distance. So I'm nervous. I'm very nervous. Anytime I risk this amount of money, obviously, especially when I've been kind of up and down with my results, it's not comfortable, but I feel like this is a spot that I've got to take. Brad Riddell can win by hook knockout. When Jalin Turner gets in close, he eats those shots a little bit. Jalin Turner is a nasty finisher. We've seen Brad Riddell hurt in his last 3 fights in a row. This guy's durability is starting to worry me. And the bad cut really, I think, helps that under get there. Prediction is going to be Jalin Turner round 2. Darce. I think he's going to go to work with the knees on Brad Riddell. I think he's going to force Brad Riddell to shoot after he gets hurt, and then that BJJ black belt is going to show up and show itself off. So, I'm tempted to take a little stab on the Turner submission prop. Might even do that round 2 sub since that's what I'm calling for. But at the same time, I've already got, I've got about 10 units risked on this because I got the Turner money line and the under. I don't know that I need to get goofy playing with this sub prop. That's just, yeah, if I am correct, it'll be an epic win, but at the same time, if I'm not right, it'll just be compounding losses. So I don't know if I need to do that, but that's my look. That's my biggest investment for the night. Pedro Munhoz taking on Sean O'Malley. Pedro Munhoz came in at 135.5. Sean O'Malley 135. Pedro had no issues whatsoever on the scales. He's a consummate professional. We know he does this and he's good at it. Brought his fluids to the scale with him today. I usually think that's kind of a bad sign, people needing to rehydrate super immediately. However, he was completely relaxed and wasn't like panicking to get the water down. It was just, business as usual for Pedro. Sean O'Malley came up with the damn sunglasses on, and y'all know they're always hiding shit with the sunglasses. No, it's just Sean O'Malley. Sean's doing his thing. He's playing his character, so I can't get too mad at for that one, but no real issues from him on the scale. I loved this face-off. I love this face-off so much. Pedro Munhoz was like waving Sean in to like come in and get close at him. Sean doing the double watch check on him and then talking about being the first guy to finish him. I think Pedro Munhoz took that personally. I think Pedro Munhoz is really ready for war here, and that's a little scary to me. I did take the over 2.5. I got minus 115. That is now minus 120. So I missed the plus 100. I talked about it on the show. I wanted the even money plus 100 when it was there, but it had already moved by the time I remembered to lock it in after I got done on Monday's podcast. I think this one's going the distance, just mostly because Pedro Munhoz is incredibly durable. I think the big cage helps Sean O'Malley. Him switching stances to avoid damage to the legs, him staying on his bike to make sure and mind that range, having the speed advantage. I think that's the kind of situation where he just kind of picks and pokes at Pedro Munhoz and kind of outworks him over the course of 15 minutes, but does his best to stay safe. I think he's going to make Pedro chase him all around the cage. In my gut, in my soul, I really want to see Pedro Munhoz just snap one of his legs in half with a leg kick. I really do. But I know that's probably not going to happen. I think Pedro probably loses a decision on the scorecards, unanimous 30-27, Sean O'Malley, something like that. But I got the over 2.5 just in case Pedro's the one who gets his arm raised. I would love that. Next up, Bryan Barberena taking on Robbie Lawler. Bryan Barberena 170.5. Robbie Lawler 171. Classic Bam Bam on the scale. Business as usual for Robbie Lawler. Like, these are two guys that have made an absolute habit of not doing, anything. Not doing anything at all that you would be worried about. They are consummate professionals. They never show emotion on the scales or at the face-offs. They're just kind of blankly staring at each other when they got to the ceremonials. Gotta be honest, these guys are not fun when it comes to the face-offs and the stare-downs and things like that. So we move on. They're about the same size. Bryan Barberena's got a bit of a gut on him, though. Alex Pereira taking on Sean Strickland. Alex came in at 184.5. Strickland 185.5. Pereira looked absolutely shredded, guys. Cheeks sucked out. He is a big dude. He gave a good solid flex up there. Sean Strickland looked exhausted. He wanted off the scale immediately. Now, that wasn't an issue when he got to the ceremonials. He was happy to play it up, being weird, talking to everybody on the scales, not really paying attention to his opponent. Classic Sean Strickland, he was doing his thing. Big size advantage to Pereira. Guys, I am struggling so hard with this one. This line has flipped. Like, it's been nothing but Sean Strickland money. All week, it's been nothing but Sean Strickland money. He's all the way down to minus 130 at this point. And I'm sitting here going, did I just miss the boat? Like, I get it. If Sean Strickland comes out here and he really goes to work with his grappling, he could win this thing by sub. He can take Pereira down. He can take the back. Like, I think there's a lot of ways that makes a ton of sense. But Sean is such a wild man, talking about coming here and out kickboxing the kickboxer. And he's the kind of guy that I damn well know is more than willing to actually test that theory. I don't know if I can trust him. I may have missed the boat already at this point. The line's already gotten away from me. It's a spot that I'm really not happy with. I have been leaning towards Alex Pereira all week. Now that he's flipped and he's the underdog at plus 110, I am tempted to take a stab on that. But damn, you guys know I have no problem sitting on an island, right? You guys know that I have absolutely no issues being the only one making a particular bet. But the amount of people that I respect who are on this, the amount of people who I've talked to that believe that Sean Strickland, without a doubt, is going to win this fight, I can't ignore it. I can't just turn a blind eye to it and be like, nah, I'm going to bet against all yous. Like, I just can't bring myself to do that. So, Yeah, here we go. I'll pick Sean Strickland to win, I guess. I don't, you guys, I have no idea. I have no idea on this fight. And I have no idea if it's going to end quickly or not because Sean Strickland could catch a knee on his way in for a takedown. That left hook is going to be there all day if he tries to volume strike with him. He might submit him in the second round. I don't know. There's so many questions about this fight. I don't want my money on it. Co-main event, Alexander Volkanovski taking on Max Holloway. Both guys came in at 144 and a half, coming in under the limit there at 145. Sorry about that. Volkanovski looked a bit rough on the scales, but champ shit. You know what I mean? Like, he came in looking a bit rough. He's a big, thick dude. No problem making weight when it's all said and done. Waving, smiling, moving around, talking. He's good. He's good. Max Holloway, same thing. Face is a little bit sucked out. You can see those cheekbones popping, but he threw up that discount double check strap season type of thing around his waist. He is amped up. I love this version of Max Holloway. He is screaming at the ceremonial weigh-ins. He's getting into Volkanovski's face, talking shit. You guys, this is a whole new Max Holloway, and I'm here for it. I love it. Volkanovski's a minus 190 favorite. Max Holloway is a plus 170 underdog. The total set at 4.5. The over is minus 230. The under is plus 200. I almost feel like these guys are going to throw caution to the winds. Like the way Max is coming out here, he's talking about Volkanovski going to be done, before the third round. And I think I've been talking about it all week. I think there's going to be violence just because Max is coming in a different headspace. He's coming in looking to kill. He's not going to play the technical game. He's not going to keep the range. He's going to come in and he's going to do all kinds of stuff to try to get this fight taken care of as quickly as possible, not lose a split, not leave it to the judges. And Volkanovski, we have seen sitting down on his punches, looking for the opportunity to finish, trying to extend and establish that legacy. Like, man, I kind of like the under here. I'll be honest. I kind of think maybe we bet violence here. That's the only thing that I would want to do on this one. It's another spot where I think there's value on Max Holloway. I think this is a pick'em fight. We've seen it 2 times in a row that this fight is extremely close, extremely tight. Both guys have had their moments. I don't know how you can justify having a line this wide and saying there's value on the favorite. Yes, Volkanovski got his arm raised twice. I don't think he should have gotten his arm raised the second time. And even if he did, these fights being as close as they are, like, they really both could have gone either way. You can make an argument for either guy, either fight. I think there's value on the dog. I don't have the guts to go again to war with Max Holloway here in a third fight where he's already dropped 2 of them. I am tempted on the plus money on the under. At this point, I still don't have a bet, though, because like I said, the history tells us it's going to be over and it's going to be Volkanovski. Both those are chalked up, and I don't really want to touch them. Israel Adesanya and Jared Cannonier in the main event. We've got Adesanya coming in 183.5. This guy always comes in light. He likes that speed. He likes that movement. Cannonier came in at 184.5. Israel Adesanya looked good, no issues. And as always, Jared Cannonier is jacked. Whoo! The genetics on this man. He is ridiculous. Obviously looked a bit sucked out. What do you expect? He is shredded as it gets. Stone cold up there on the scales today. Neither guy budged at these face-offs, guys. This was intense. Like, they got up, they stood a respectful distance away, locked eyes, and Izzy refused to move. Like, this is one of those ones where it could have gone on for 20 minutes if they had just, like, left them alone. Finally, Jared Cannonier had enough and he kind of moved on. That's his personality. I don't take that as him losing the face-off. Izzy is going to say that. Izzy will take that as him winning the face-off here in this spot. But I think Jared Cannonier just finally had, gotten bored and he was ready to move on with his life. This is an awesome fight. I love this fight. I know a couple smart people that have taken the stab on Jared Cannonier. I don't think he's the next Glover Teixeira, guys. I really don't. I know he's got that big power. I know there's a chance he can end this fight with a big shot. But is he talking about how he's studied this opponent? He's going to make it look easy. I completely believe him. Israel Adesanya inside the distance is kind of what I'm looking at. Haven't pulled the trigger yet. That's the way I'm leaning. And honestly, I like the under 4.5. It's sitting about minus 120 right now. And I think violence is the answer here because both guys can finish this. Jared Cannonier's got that explosive power. We know he's got those hard leg kicks. If Israel Adesanya takes a few too many of those, he could go down. If Israel Adesanya has his way and does what he says he's going to do, I do think that he's going to kind of tire Jared out. The speed advantage that he brings to the table, I think, is going to be a problem. And we've seen when Izzy really wants to get somebody out of there, he's more than capable of doing it. I think this fight is probably going to finish. Under 4.5 is the way that I'm looking at this point. I think Izzy wins, minus 450. Good solid parlay anchor. I don't have anything to parlay with it at this point, but that's the way that I would look. that is the Undefeated Post Weigh-In Show, folks. Give me a follow at DieHard MMA Pod on Twitter if you haven't already. Give me a follow on Instagram. I post all my shit there as well. Good luck on all your bets. Stay tuned right here at Pub Sports Radio. Me and the boys are going to be going live for a watch party tomorrow for this awesome, epic event. You'll want to be part of that. You'll want to tune in and make sure you're here with us. Thank you all very much. Smash the like button for me. Good luck on all your degenerate action, and let's roll.